Hi everyone. So I'm basically coming back to do an update video on breastfeeding from the last video that I posted, where I basically was having these complications and so on and so forth. And I just kind of want to update you guys where we are now. So after I posted that video where I was a little stressed, but I was at a calm moment. Like the following day, I had like a complete breakdown because basically, like I said in the video, my milk supply was, come on, come on. She likes to try to fall asleep on me. And right now it's like 11 o'clock and I'm doing her nightly routine, and this is the last step, so she should be going to sleep, but I want her to feed a little more before she goes to sleep. So let me try to wake her up a little bit. Oops, I'm sorry. And we're back. I had to try to get her up a little. Oh, bless you, boo. I had to try to get her up a little bit, and this is her. Isn't she beautiful? Isn't she beautiful? Yeah, you are. She'll be 5 weeks tomorrow. But anywho, try and keep her up a little bit before I switch boobs. But oh, I could burp you, huh? Say that would help, mommy. But as I was saying, the day after I made that video, I had like an I felt moment, and like I fed her and I pumped from one side. I only pumped like an ounce and a half maybe. And my mom came into the room, and I told her, because she's my mom, she's gonna encourage me or whatever. But I told her, like, I don't know what's going on. It looked like my supply decreasing. Like, this is all I pump. And she was like, oh yeah, you may not be able to breastfeed. You want to eat something? I was like, I'm really not hungry. She was like, yeah, because my appetite was non-existent at the time. And she was like, yeah, you may not be able to breastfeed because you're not eating right. And she probably not satisfied. And then she started crying again. And so I was like, okay, well, fine. That was encouraging. Mind you, I was already stressed because she hadn't gained weight. We went back to the doctor after that video, and not after that video, but as I said in the video, he wanted her to gain like an ounce a day or whatever. So I was already stressed because there was so much pressure for her to gain weight before our next visit the following week. And then I was on top of that pressure and stress. I was stressed because it seemed like my milk supply was decreasing. And then on top of that stress, my mom made the comment, or was basically telling me that I probably won't be able to breastfeed because my milk was drying up, basically. And so it was a horrible moment for me. And then Autumn started crying, and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm gonna try to breastfeed her again. And I'm trying to calm her down so she can latch on. And she was just so like upset, which was probably because I was so emotional, because I was like crying. When my mom left the room, I started like bawling, like tears were falling all on her. And I could hear my parents talking, and my dad was like, why don't you go and help her? And my mom was like, ain't nothing she can do, her milk drying up, and da da da. And it just was a moment of just darkness, basically. It was a horrible moment for me. So after that, in the midst of that, I'm crying and trying to feed. I'm trying to calm myself down and wipe my face and like, come on, you can do this, you can do this, come on, Autumn, good girl. I'm like, come on, Autumn, I really need for you to eat. And my mom ended up coming back down and getting her and was like, I'm gonna bounce her around and see if she calms down. So when they left, I started crying again, and suddenly I was like, you know what, forget this. I'm gonna call the breastfeeding hotline. Like, Alicia, calm down, get it together. So I called the breastfeeding hotline because I'm in Tennessee and they have a 24-hour breastfeeding hotline. So I called the number, and the lady was so amazing. She was so encouraging, and basically explained to me that my body was just adjusting. It wasn't my milk was drying up. My body was just adjusting. And basically, when your milk first comes in, what she explained to me, when your milk first comes in, it doesn't know, your body doesn't know how much to produce, so it overcompensates. It just produces a lot because your body doesn't know if you have like a greedy baby or a baby that's just gonna eat just enough. Like your body doesn't know how much you need, so it's better to have too much than not enough, basically. And so once your body learns from your baby nursing, then your body is like, oh, okay, so she only needs X amount of ounces per serving. So let's cut down on the production because she only needs this much, basically. So it wasn't that my milk was drying up. It just was my body was adjusting to Autumn and seeing exactly how much she needed. And I probably wasn't feeding her in doing enough feedings or whatever. But after getting off the phone with her, like, she was super amazing. She gave me a couple Facebook breastfeeding groups to join, which I did. Some websites with like breastfeeding forums on it. It was like when I got off the phone with her, and she was telling me about her experience and how she struggled in the beginning and had like a breakdown moment herself at 5 weeks, because she only pumped like an ounce and a half, and she got up off the floor and like knocked it over and was like so stressed, and like it was just horrible for her. So she really made me feel like, okay, you can do this. And like that's what she said. She was like, you can do this. And she was like, the most of the time the women who successfully do it because they believe that they can. Because when you get discouraged and get stressed out, that can affect your milk supply, and that can cause you not to be able to breastfeed. So you have to relax, and you have to believe that you can. Just like it's physical, it's also mental for you to be able to breastfeed successfully. Of course, there are one-off cases where there are just situations where women can't, but for the most part, you have to truly believe that you can in order for it to be successful. So when I got off the phone with her, I felt so much better and so confident. I went and got Autumn from my mom. And oh, now you hungry? I'm gonna wait until you're a little more hungry so you won't fall asleep. I got Autumn from my mom and went back into the room and I was like, okay, I'm gonna breastfeed. And she did feed for me better at that point. And I really believe at that point is when she started to gain weight. Now, we did go back to the doctor and she gained a couple ounces, but it still wasn't at the rate that the pediatrician wanted. So he said at that point we needed to start supplementing, which I felt really bad about. Which I felt really bad about, but it was for her. So, you know, you do what you gotta do. And he basically explained to me that I shouldn't feel bad about anything. She's perfectly healthy. Everything is good. She's growing at the rate that she should in all other areas. Her labs came back clear. Everything is A1 except her weight. And so what we need to do is to make sure that she stays healthy by making sure that she's getting this weight on her. And then if the following week she still hasn't gained weight after supplementing, then we know it's a different issue that we need to address. So in all areas, it was best for us to supplement at that point. So he gave me some formula. I got this Similac non-HGMO formula, which I want to try the Gentle and Ease with her because I feel like that one makes her gassy. I'm not sure. I'm new to this, but I want to try the Gentle and Ease. But anywho, so he gave me that and also a packet about fenugreek. And he was like, have you tried fenugreek? I was like, no. He was like, well, it's an herbal supplement that promotes milk supply. So you should go and try that. You can pick it up at CVS or Walmart, whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. So this is fenugreek. This is what I got. I got this from CVS. And it's just an herbal supplement. And you take 2 capsules every 2 to 3 times daily. I took it whenever I thought about it. So it was some days I may have taken it 4 times, may have taken it 5 times. But it's an herbal supplement, so it wasn't like, But I did that and I supplemented her, the formula. But I was like, I'm still going to breastfeed you primarily. So I would only give her 2 formula bottles a day. I gave her one in the morning. Well, one around noon, and then one nice warm one before bed. Um, which even now I've been trying to take her off of it because I feel like she doesn't respond well to it. But then again, sometimes she does. So again, maybe it's me. Baby spit up. Spit up freaks me out. So even though she spits up even on my breast milk sometimes, but you feeling like you can stay awake a little longer? Yeah. Okay. Um. Yeah. She's just so beautiful. I can stare at her all day. All day. But anywho, so I would only give her 2 bottles a day, and I would breastfeed the rest of the time. And so and I took the fenugreek. He said that when taking the fenugreek, it works right away. Some people can notice a change in their milk supply within the first 24 hours. But another good thing about fenugreek is if you don't have a change by the 3rd day, then you know it doesn't work for you, because it doesn't work for everyone. It works for most, but not for all. So if day 3 comes and it's still the same, then you can just stop taking it because it's not going to work. So I tried the fenugreek and I supplemented her. I believe it started working the first 24 hours because what I noticed was I started to leak a lot. Whereas before I started taking the fenugreek, hold on. Wait. Okay, so I started to leak a ton. Whereas before I leaked when my milk supply was really, really good. But once my milk supply started changing, I didn't leak anymore. So that was one sign that made me feel like it was working, because I was leaking like a ton. Like I was breastfeeding her and I felt like something wet on my thigh, like around my hip on the other side. And I was like, what the heck is that? And I looked down and the milk was just coming. It was just coming. So it's like whenever I fed her from one breast, I leak from the other breast. And even when I switch her around, the other one will start leaking again. When she cries, my breast leak. It was a lot of leakage going on after I started taking fenugreek, like the first 24 hours. So I believe that for me, it did help within the first 24 hours. The supplementing helped as well, and it also helped her to sleep a little longer. Like even now, I'm doing her nightly routine, and like this is the end of her nightly routine. I fed from both sides. Another thing I changed up was also she used to only want to feed from my left side. She did not want to feed from my right side. And I told the hotline lady that as well, and she suggested that to start, I forgot the term for it, but when you like push the milk out by, it came to me and it left that quick, but when you push the milk out by hand, she suggested that I start off like that and then get her to latch on so the milk can already be flowing and it'll be easier for her to pull from it, because chances are it was because she was having a hard time getting the milk out of that boob. So that's why she preferred the other boob. But once my milk started flowing in and I was like super on, you're going to gain weight, I was like, no, you're going to feed from both breasts. And she also suggested I try a different position, because one position may work for one boob, but she may not be comfortable in that same position on the other boob. She may be comfortable in a cradle position on one boob, but would prefer to be in the football position on another boob. But now that she has got it to flow, the cradle position works good on both. But anywho, I forgot what I was even saying before I interrupted myself with that. But basically, I was leaking more. Another sign that made me feel like it was working was she would spit up more with my breast milk, whereas before she never spat up. So it was a really, really good experience. And I also felt kind of bad at the same time, though, because I felt like I was shoving milk down her throat, like just feed, feed, feed. Oh, I was saying the warm bottle at night. Even part of her nightly routine now, when she's done feeding from this side, I'm going to top it off with a formula bottle, which she'll probably only take about an ounce of it, which is fine. I just need something really warm on her tummy to help her sleep a little longer throughout the night, because formula does burn off. They burn off formula slower than they do breast milk because it has more in it or whatever. I don't know, but they burn off breast milk a lot slower than they do formula. Burn off breast milk a lot faster than they do formula, which is why breastfed babies need to feed more in a day than formula fed babies. But yes, right now we are in a great place. She, after supplementing and shoving milk down her throat, and every time she looked like she was hungry, I would get her the latch on. Every time she cried, I would get her, forget a pacifier. She doesn't need a pacifier. All she needs is my boob. If I have to have her attached to me every day, all day, that's fine. She has to gain weight. So when we went back, she did gain weight, and she was at her birth weight again, and like everything worked out. She gained like almost like half of a pound. Yeah, somewhere like that. She did so good, and I was so proud of her, and everything just seemed to work out. Also, another thing that I did that I would suggest for the people who have your appetite has decreased or has become non-existent like mine did, drink some Ensure Plus, which I used to drink Ensure because like one time I got really sick and I got the flu, and it was like the year that people were like dying from the flu. I lost like 10 pounds in a week. And one thing that my doctor suggested was to drink Ensure to help me gain my weight back. And also when I went on my weight gain journey, my brother, who is a certified, I was going to say physical therapist, a certified trainer, that was part of my regimen with him, that he suggested to take Ensure, which, funny enough, we all met over to my folks' house for Super Bowl weekend, and we were talking about how my appetite is non-existent. He was like, why don't you get back on Ensure? I was like, I completely forgot about Ensure. Oh my God, thank you. You saved my life. So I believe all these things, the supplementing, even though I didn't supplement her a lot, it was only 2 bottles a day, it still helped her. So in between the supplementing, the fenugreek, which I paid like $10 for this, and I think you can get it online for cheaper. But anywho, between supplementing fenugreek and Ensure and just being super driven to do it, we are in a great place right now. Like, she's heavier to hold. Like, you can tell that she's gaining weight, whereas before it was like a guessing game. Like, I think she's gaining weight, I'm not sure. Now you can tell. But yeah, we are in a great place. And if you are having issues with breastfeeding, my suggestion would be like the 3 things that I just said. Like, even if you don't want to supplement, go and get you some fenugreek and take as much as you want. Not as much as you want, but it says 2 capsules 2 capsules 3 times a day. It's an herbal seed, basically. It's a capsule, but it's a fenugreek seed. That's the plant. And I took it sometimes 3 times a day, sometimes 4, sometimes whenever I saw the bottle or when I would think about it, I would take it. But get you some fenugreek and just relax. Make sure that you're eating. If you're not eating, get you some Ensure. Stock up on you some Ensure. And just check. I love Ensure personally, so it was nothing for me to do it. I drink the chocolate one because it tastes like a nice chocolate milk. So get you some Ensure and just remain calm and believe that you can, and don't listen to the naysayers, because that will mess you up and that will cause your milk supply to decrease for real. But just be in a positive environment, which is another reason why I came back home when I did. I came back home like days after that incident happened, because like even listening to the hotline lady, like you have to be in a good headspace in order to successfully breastfeed. And me personally, my home life has never been a great experience for me. So I knew me staying there, I wouldn't be able to successfully do it. So make sure you're in a good headspace. Make sure you look for some forums, look for some articles, look at YouTube videos of other women and their suggestions and their journeys. And it's really hard. I never knew before I started this that breastfeeding would be so hard. I thought it would be easy, baby cry, pop a boob in the mouth and keep on trucking. But it's more that goes along with that, and you have to truly be determined, because you're gonna have, not everyone has this easy journey to where their milk just flows and everything is just great and their baby just latches. And I never had issues with her latching. It just was my supply. So, but we're in a better place. She is much healthier. I can also tell that she's more satisfied, because she's not nearly as fussy as she was before, where she was just taking enough just to be okay and just be satisfied, but she wasn't full and she wasn't truly satisfied, because a couple minutes later she would get a little antsy and a little fussy. Whereas now, after she feeds, she's chill. So she's trying to doze off on me now. So what I'm going to do is, at the end of her nightly routine, last step is to, which I haven't been doing, but I think I want to start back doing it, because I used to do it and now I want to start back doing it. It's giving her the warm formula bottle. I could have given her a warm breast milk bottle, but since being home, I don't really even pump. I just feed her for me. I don't really even pump. But I want to give her a nice warm bottle to help keep her asleep longer. Like, she doesn't do bad at night. Like last night, for example, she slept for like 4 hours and then woke up to feed. And then she slept for like maybe 2 or 3 more hours. And like, it was like up and down from there. But initially, she did really good. She slept for 4 hours. Whereas another night where I want to say I gave her the formula, back when I was giving her the formula bottle, she slept for like 6 hours straight, 5 or 6 hours, no problem. So I'm making sure she's good and full. Like, I start off her nightly routine with a feeding, and I end it with a feeding to make sure she's good and full. And so that's what I'm finna do now. But if you guys have any questions, anything like that, leave it below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.